Vasseur shuts down Sainz request. The start of the 2023 season has turned out to be the worst for Ferrari in decades, and things aren't looking particularly bright in the garage of the Maranello team. Sainz is looking for other development paths, while Leclerc has announced that his only goal in 2023 is to finish the race, which is practically the most depressing way you can enter a season. And even though Sainz has been pushing in other directions, Vasseur came out with a statement and an exclamation point on Ferrari's future, something that will definitely make Sainz angry. Join us as we go through the voyage of Ferrari and the angst between Vasseur and Sainz as we find out whether or not the team can be competitive during the course of the 2023 season. If there is one thing that Ferrari learned during the first couple of races of 2023, it's that they haven't moved a muscle in terms of catching up to Red Bull. Quite the contrary, they've taken a backward step, and even though Vasseur keeps saying that the team made massive progress in Australia amid all the struggles, I think it's for increasing the morale of the team. At this time, I am not sure how you'll keep Leclerc motivated, with the Monegasque having 2 DNFs out of 3 races. But everything is worth trying when you've lost a step, not only to Red Bull, but to Mercedes and Aston Martin as well. However, Ferrari has been in deep water before, so this isn't unfamiliar ground to them. While there are new people leading the team now, as well as a new driver in Sainz, it's a situation from which the team can recover with a common goal and proper steps. That is why Sainz has called out the team and said there is an absolute need for a change in the development direction, because from what he can see, Ferrari isn't making progress at all. Yes, in Bahrain, Sainz had the fastest car in terms of straight line speed, but in Australia, the Maranello team was the 4th fastest on the grid. I don't have to remind you that straight line speed, although a huge factor in the car's success, is far from the only thing you can piggyback on to race wins, and potentially a championship. So Mercedes may not be the only team that is poised for changes in the following period. But according to Fred Vasseur, the team principal, who has a lot of expectation on his back once he joined the Scuderia, the path that Ferrari is currently going down is the right one, and there isn't any need for them to change. Even though the drivers are basically the ones that know what's wrong with the car and why it doesn't act like it should, the Frenchman is confident that success will follow, and Sainz's request that the team change its path is not going to be granted. When talking about the future of the team, Vasseur added, "We are sticking to the plan. We have made some adjustments in terms of balance and behaviour, and it was much better in Melbourne, and will continue in this direction. It's not a B car if that is what you want to say." Now, whenever a team is struggling to score good results with the current version of their car, rumours about the squad going in another direction with a Plan B car always appear on the surface of the F1 world. That is the same thing that happened with Mercedes, with the difference that Mercedes acknowledged they were in the wrong with the no-pod side-pod design, and it was only hurting them further. As for Ferrari, from what we can see, the team is very happy with the chunky side pods, which have brought the satisfaction of having one of the fastest cars on the grid in combination with the engine. However, the fact that it is not able to finish races and the fact that it lacks in so many other departments, such as the generation of downforce, goes to show that there are some changes that may need to be applied to the SF23 sooner rather than later. According to Vasseur, those changes do not mean that the team is going full rogue mode and implementing a new design of the car. This is something he has spoken about yet again, as he went on to add, "We won't come with something completely different. We will continue to update this one, and we'll try to update massively. To do a new project during the season, to start from scratch, to do a new car with the cost cap, but also considering the restriction of the wind tunnel time, I don't want to say that's impossible, but it's very difficult." And ever since Melbourne, Ferrari started to implement changes on the SF23 that saw Sainz and Leclerc have a worse qualifying session than the Mercedes and Alonso as well, with Leclerc not being able to beat Stroll either. So, excuse me for pointing this out, but I don't really think that the changes are working wonders for Sainz and Leclerc. Sure, Sainz had a great race pace and was able to climb the grid once he suffered from an unlucky pit stop during the first safety car that quickly turned into a red flag, but that is by far not where the team wants to see itself. Still, Vasseur insists that there is a development path that the team will follow in the following races, such as Imola, as we are yet to see the best of the Maranello squad. When talking about this, and being asked whether the development plan for Ferrari had been established a long time ago or had been modified to bring faster gains, the Frenchman replied, "There is always a development plan before the start of the season, but at the same time, there is room for change depending on the needs of the car. We acted very quickly, already starting to make changes in Melbourne, but we can't massively change the plan. There are budget constraints, but we have managed to speed up the process. Some changes originally planned for Barcelona will arrive at Imola." Now the Easter break grants Ferrari the opportunity to have a 1-month period to develop their car in a certain direction, and while this will be a welcome breather for the team to regroup and reassess its difficulties, one thing remains a definite statement: Ferrari is not where they want to be. I don't want to sound too pessimistic, but whenever a team is going backwards and losing ground to not just one, but 3 teams ahead of them, things aren't looking very bright for them at all. In the first 3 races, we are yet to see a Ferrari driver on the podium, and given the fact that they managed to mess up their 2022 season after such a strong start in the first 3 races, I do not see Ferrari making a massive step forward. It's like there is some bad energy or aura flowing around the team, and the lack of responsibility as well as the inability to deliver results with the SF23 is more than enough to keep you out of the championship fight. As I mentioned earlier in this video, Leclerc stated that his only goal right now is to finish races as the championship is barely on his mind. This speaks volumes about where the team is right now and what kind of energy prevails in their garage. Ferrari may win the battle with the FIA if the governing body grants them an appeal for Sainz's unfair penalty in Melbourne, but even if this turns out to be the outcome of the whole situation and Sainz gets his 12 points back, it's far from what the team should aim for. Leclerc has only 6 points after the first 3 races, and with Ferrari only having 26 points in the Constructors' Championship, I cannot help but ask, are we going to see massive changes in the team sooner rather than later? Keep in mind that Vasseur spoke before the beginning of the season about Leclerc's contract, stating that even though they are happy with the young super talent, the ultimate goal for them is to focus on 2023 and not the renewal of his contract. This, as Bottas said from his own personal experience, is a huge burden that the driver has to have on his shoulders whenever he goes racing, as he doesn't know whether or not he'll be with the team next season. And with how Ferrari is performing right now, along with the attractive situation that is developing in Mercedes with Lewis Hamilton, Leclerc could be on the move sooner rather than later. A potential swap between him and Hamilton has been mentioned, but Mercedes is currently working on deepening their relationship with the 7-time world champion. As for Ferrari, time will tell whether they've chosen the right path to follow, as Sainz is clearly not a happy man right now. What are your thoughts on the whole Ferrari situation? Let us know in the comments below.